We had such a nice time exploring the tip of the Keweenaw Peninsula, but our time was nearing the end. However, we just had to make one more stop at Eagle Harbor Beach. Skip has always enjoyed our Oregon beaches, and we wanted to give him time to sniff and take in all the smells. He's an old fellow, and we never know how many more adventures we will have with him. We started our day early and took Highway 41 south to the town of Calumet. We had scheduled an early morning tour of the Quincy Mine. Now I have to fess up and tell you all, I am no fan of enclosed spaces. Thanks to an older brother who took fun in trapping me in my sleeping bag as a child, I have a wee bit of claustrophobia. I was not sure I would be able to complete the entire mine tour, but I wanted to face this challenge. We arrived early so that we could park the van in a shaded area for Skip. We left him with the 12-volt AC running, plenty of water, and his cozy bed. We also have temperature alerts and cameras on him at all times. The Quincy Mine is an extensive set of copper mines located near Hancock, Michigan. The mine was owned by the Quincy Mining Company and operated between 1846 and 1945, although some activities continued through the 1970s. The Quincy Mine was known as Old Reliable, as the Quincy Mine Company paid a dividend to investors every year from 1868 through 1920. Quincy Mining Company Historic District is a United States National Historic Landmark District. Other Quincy Mine properties nearby include the Quincy Mining Company Stamp Mills and the Quincy Dredge No. 2, and the Quincy Smelter are also historically significant. The Quincy Mine is now a popular Keweenaw tourist attraction. The Quincy Mine Host Association maintains the buildings and the grounds and provides guided tours of the No. 2 hoist house and the 7th level of the mine during the summer. Tourists are transported to the 7th level by the Quincy and Torch Lake Cog Railway. There are museum-style exhibits within many buildings. The mine and the surrounding areas are part of the Keweenaw National Historic Park. It is not often we get a chance to examine the roof of Waldo without getting a ladder out, so this was a great time to give it a look. Earlier in this year, we had made a trip out to Quartzsite, Arizona, and we had 300 watts of solar installed on the roof along with our new 12-volt air conditioner by Valette. We have been asked many times how we like the 12-volt AC, and at this point in our travels, I can honestly say I wasn't happy with it. It was not putting out anything near what I would call cold air. In fact, I would cool the van down better by opening a vent window and turning on the fantastic fan. But more on this later.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I want to grab helmets, adjustments on the back.
Okay.
That's not the way. Difference.
There's no pink one.
No pink.
Whoa. At the mill, steam stamps freed the copper from the surrounding basalt rock. The waste or stamp sand was deposited into Torch Lake. Copper concentrate would then be transported to the Quincy smelter for final purification, casting, and eventual shipment via the Portage Waterway.
The miners went down every day, where they drilled in the copper and the big steam hoist hauled it away. 9,000 feet deep, so they say, but the world's biggest steam hoist can handle the job, load the copper and haul it away. The mining boom of the 1840s in the United States. Hundreds of copper mines quickly sprang up all over the Keweenaw. As men dug deeper for the precious copper, more powerful hoisting machines were needed to carry the miners and their ore-bearing rock to the surface. In 1919, the world's largest steam-powered hoist was built by the Norberg Manufacturing Company of Milwaukee for the Quincy Mining Company. Workers were lowered more than 9,000 feet down the shaft in man cars to their working levels and then walked to their assigned mining area. The miners drilled blast holes, broke up the ore with explosives, and then loaded the broken ore into tram cars. Trams carried the ore to the shaft where it was loaded onto skips and hoisted to the surface. The ore went to the mill by rail where it was crushed with steam power by the stamps. Copper ore was further separated from the waste rock by means of flotation and gravity, resulting in a copper concentrate. The concentrate was transported to the smelter for refining and cast into solid copper ingots.
The Quincy Mine No. 2 shaft hoist was a colossal piece of machinery built in 1908 during the mine's peak production. It's the world's largest mine hoist and was a vital part of the Quincy Copper Mine, an important site in America's industrial history. The hoist used two large cross-compound coreless engines to operate the hoist's massive spools. These spools were used to pull skips, mine cages, up and down the two inclined skipways of the No. 2 shaft. It could transport loaded skips containing ore and miners at speeds up to 36 miles per hour, pulling payloads of up to 10 tons of ore from deep underground. Next, we took a ride on a tram down a steep hill to the east adit, a former mine entrance. The railway is approximately a half a mile long. It opened in May of 1997 to transport tourists to the adit entrance of the Quincy Mine's No. 5 shaft. The tram provides panoramic views of Houghton and the Portage Lake lift bridge. Was still having problems with his hip, so we opted for the ride-along tour into the mine. The tour allows visitors to see the copper-bearing rock which can appear as veins or masses of the metal within the rock itself. The Quincy Mine introduced these loud, powerful, air-powered drills in 1913. The pneumatic rock drills used compressed air to drive a piston that delivers a series of rapid, high-impact blows to the drill bit. This allowed miners to drill holes for dynamite faster and more efficiently than using manual drills. Next, we got a brief little example on how difficult it was to move the heavy mine carts when they were full.
It's all about technique. It's all about technique. How you plant your feet. Yeah, he does. So often there are teams of two, but it's not uncommon to find just one person working the track. Thousands of people do this over the years, decades and decades.
Of course, Wads had to show them how easily it could be done. Next, we got to learn more about a mine shaft and what came out of there.
Seriously injured, and before they can end their careers on their own terms. It's a staggering toll and incredibly dangerous. The entire Keweenaw Peninsula, just shy of 2,000 miners lost their lives in mines underground. And despite these unimaginable dangers, tens of thousands of people arrive to this region to work in places like this. They sacrifice their sunlight and their safety, trying to provide something for their families. It's true, oftentimes they were driven by desperation, but they also had a great deal of hope. Hope that the lives of their children would be better. Hope for a better future for them. And the Army received 90% of copper from Quincy Mine alone. That's a huge contribution. Copper is used for brass, and
I learned something while on this tour that I had never really considered before. My grandparents had come to this country from Italy in the early 1900s. They settled primarily in Detroit, Michigan. However, my great-grandfather traveled up north to work after his wife had died in childbirth. The family story is that he had paid an orphanage to care for his 6 children while he traveled north for work. It was during this tour that I learned how many immigrant Italian families had worked in these mines. It made me wonder if perhaps my great-grandfather had worked in this very mine. I plan to look into this further. We ended our day staying the night at the Hancock City Park campground and put some thought into where we would go next.
Hancock City Boat Launch. Little bit of an angle to Waldo, but good place to take a shower with a view.
We're nearing the end of our time in the UP and would soon be heading westward. I know it's been some time since our last video. I have a favor to ask of you viewers. If you are enjoying these videos and would like to see more, please leave me a message in the comments. I'm finding myself in a bit of a procrastination mode and need a little cheer from the sidelines. Thanks for watching!